Unreal Engine is no longer recommending that we use the old particle system. Cascade has officially become legacy technology, and Epic is telling all new developers to move forward with Niagara. This is now the standard for the visual effects in Unreal and the system you need to learn for the next generation games. So in today's video, we are going to create a muzzle flash from zero using Niagara. This is the flash that appears at the tip of your weapon every time you fire a shot. And instead of downloading presets or buying effects on Fab, we are going to build it completely from scratch so you can understand exactly how it works and how you can control every part of it. We will set up the Niagara system, build the emitter, shape the flash, and then at the end, I will show you how to enable Niagara for C++ so you can trigger this effect directly from your character code. This is the Game Creator Accelerator. I am Tony Munoz. Like, subscribe, comment, share, and tap the bell so you don't miss new Unreal tutorials, practical strategies, and a clear, repeatable, and inspiring methodology to move you closer to the real game development career that you wish. I am creating Mad Gameverse, a full third-person shooter from zero. An entire process and the code are on this channel. That's another reason to follow this space. This tutorial has value on its own, but is also part of that entire process. In the previous lesson, we finished with the shooting, which is registered, but we don't have an effect. What we'll do is create this Niagara effect, this muzzle flash. So go to my assets folder, and I create a new folder named Niagara. Right-click and select Niagara System, or go to FX and select Niagara System. Here look for Directional and select the Directional Burst Niagara Emitter, not the Niagara System. I just want one emitter. Select it, create, and let's rename it Niagara System Muzzle Flash. And now open it. When you create a Niagara system, you might have several emitters just like this one, or just one emitter. If you want to add more emitters, just right-click, select Add Emitter, and pick the one that you want to add. Every emitter will add an extra feature for your Niagara system. In my case, I just want to use one emitter, which will be the directional burst. To the left, you see an example of how this directional burst is executed, and here you can see also the duration of that execution. Now, but what is an emitter actually? Let's make it simple. Think of a Niagara system as the whole effect. For example, in this case, the muzzle flash system for our Mad Gameverse shooter. Inside that system, an emitter is like a mini factory that creates one type of particle behavior. So in one Niagara system, you might have one emitter for the bright flash at the barrel, another emitter for the little spark that flies out, and a third emitter for the smoke that lingers after the shot. Each emitter has its own rules: how many particles to spawn, when to spawn them, how they move, change colors, grow, shrink, and how they are rendered, like sprites, meshes, or ribbons. All of those emitters play together at the same time to create one single effect. So, Niagara system is the whole show. Emitter is one performed in that show with its own script. Once you understand that, Niagara becomes a lot less scary. You stop thinking, what is all this? And start thinking, okay, this emitter is my flash. This one is my sparks. This one is my smoke. Now let's present the properties of our emitter. When you click an emitter in the section of the details, you have all properties that you can control at this point. And they are also grouped by, let's say, emitter summary, emitter spawn, update, particle spawns, particle update, or if you want to see them all, just click on the direction burst at the top. As in Blueprints of Unreal, you can also go to the details and look for a particular parameter that you want to use or you want to set. Let's begin adjusting this directional burst. The first thing is the life cycle. One usual parameter that you visit a lot is the emitter update. In my case, I'm going to click it, and I want to be sure that in the loop behavior, I select once, because I want this burst to work just once. It's just one shot. And I want to be able to generate it every shot, but when I shot, I just want to happen once. Now I want to set how long I want this loop to last. As you can see to the left, this is a lot of burst. And when we shot a weapon, that doesn't happen. It's just like a short burst. Go to the loop duration, and instead of setting to 1, let's set it to 0.1. Now the burst is very, very short. In fact, let me go back and present it here. Look at this section, which is the timeline of the burst. If I move it now to 0.1, look at the difference. Now it's extremely short. This is how long this burst is going to last, even though the animation is still getting almost to 2. We're going to fix that in a second. Inside the timeline, let me get a bit closer. Move it here. I'm using the mouse wheel to get closer in the timeline. You can click on this arrow, playback options, and you can see that we have the start, which is the 00, and the end for this entire animation. I can move the end to 0.1 to be exactly, or to watch exactly when this animation is going to end. And now you can have it here to the left. It is a very short animation. But at this moment, let me move it back to what we have originally. I think it was 5. Let me check. Yes, something about that. Now let's change the size of the particles. The next group of parameters we want to check for this case is the particle spawn. In the particle spawn, you have the sprite attributes. And look that by default, it is set to a random non-uniform. Though you can use a uniform, I want particles to be randomly different sizes. And I'm going to adjust these instead of from 2 to 3 in X and 6 to 14 in Y to do something like 8 to, let's say 20 in both of them. So 8 also, and here 20. So look the effect on the left when we are running the particles effects, and look that the particles are really big. Don't worry, this is going to work at the end. The other thing is the velocity for these particles. Look that we have a parameter that is called add velocity, and this will present a cone axis. In this moment, I'm using a cone, though you can define other structure. I like a cone when we're talking about a muzzle flash. But you have also the parameters of the cone here, and you can say, let's say that I want this cone to shoot to the top. So let me move this one to 1, and now look at the difference. It's shooting at the top. Not what I'm looking for, so let's go back to 0. I just want the X to be the cone axis to use. Moving forward, let's consider that I don't want these particles to be just a plain white. I want to give them some colors. Go to the particle spawn and click on the initialize particle. And here you have a variable that is called color. Let's move this color to something more yellowish. And OK. And now you can see the particles are yellowish. But even though it's looking better, I want more. I want to control the color. I want to scale the color in time. If you want to control the color as it progresses in the animation, go to Scale Color, click on this arrow, and then in this section that says Color Value to Scale, click on the arrow and select Color from Curve. Now I can select one of these 2 points to define what is the color I want throughout the entire animation. Let's say that at the beginning, double click, I want to be something very yellow. But at the end of the process, I want something maybe orangey, something like this. Okay? And now you can see that the muzzle flash starts with yellow and ends in a kind of orange. With this, I have a Niagara effect of something that might work for my game. Of course, I invite you to try and explore all the parameters of the Niagara system so you can create things that will be amazing. The process of creation in Niagara is just trying to add some more emitters and see what you can control. And remember, every emitter can control one aspect of your Niagara system. Now let's save, go back to map, and even though our character still does not generate the muzzle flash, we are one step forward in that process. There is just one extra thing I want to do, which is preparing the project to use Niagara in C++. First, go to the Edit and Plugins and look for Niagara. And confirm that you have this Niagara enabled. If you don't have it enabled, and restart your project. Inside your project for the Solution Explorer, you should have a file that finishes with build.cs. Open that file. In the public dependency module names, you have all these options by default, and probably you don't have the Niagara. So add Niagara, and you have to spell it exactly like this, and then save. Close your Visual Studio project, save all changes in your Unreal project as well, and then let's find this project in the Show Explorer. Close the Unreal project, go one level up, and let's regenerate the project. If you're using version control, select the VS, the binaries, the intermediate, the saved, and the Visual Studio solution, and remove them all. Now right-click on the Shooter Oasis U project, select Show More Options, and first generate Visual Studio project files. Once it finishes, double-click your Unreal project here, not inside Epic Games. It will be prompt you with this question. Select Yes, I want to rebuild them. And by finishing this process, you shouldn't have any more conflicts or issues using the Niagara system inside C++ or Visual Studio. In the next video, we'll use this Niagara system that we created and we'll add it as a muzzle flash at the point or the tip of the muzzle of the weapon of our character. And that is your first Niagara muzzle flash built completely from zero. In the next episode, I'll show you how to set up a socket on the weapon of our character and then add the flash at the tip of it. Like, subscribe, comment, share, and ring the bell if you want to keep learning Unreal, C++ fundamentals, and follow the full creation of Mad Gameverse week after week. And remember to visit Woolen.com to learn more about Game Creator Accelerator Lifetime Mentorship Program, how it can transform your life and help you transition into the gaming industry. This is the Game Creator Accelerator. I am Tony Munoz. Until next time, keep creating, keep sharing, and most importantly, keep dreaming big. See you soon, my fellow creators.